If you have a crisp $10 bill and zero debt, you are mathematically wealthier than a legendary Marvel actor right now. How did untouchable Hollywood elites go from multi-million-dollar mansions to begging plumbers for rent on GoFundMe? The brutal answer at the end will shock you. Imagine holding a winning lottery ticket, feeling the intoxicating weight of generational wealth in your hands, only to strike a match and watch it all burn to ash. Picture the absolute zenith of human success, your face plastered across billboards, your bank account swelling with more money in a single month than most families will ever see in a lifetime. Now, fast forward a few years. You are sitting alone in the dark, staring at a screen, begging school teachers and plumbers to donate their hard-earned pennies just so you will not be thrown out onto the street. This is not some dystopian fiction. This is a very real, terrifying plague sweeping through the upper echelons of wealth, a silent epidemic of financial suffocation. Welcome to Credit Card Payoff Plan US, where we strip away the illusions of modern wealth to uncover the raw, unfiltered truth. If you want to survive the financial bloodbath happening around us and support our mission to bring you these deep dives, please hit that subscribe button right now so we can continue creating these eye-opening videos for your future. The universe operates on a set of unbreakable laws, and the most ruthless, unforgiving judge in human history is the calculator. Mathematics does not care about your fragile ego. It does not care about your follower count, the blue check mark next to your name, or the fact that you once graced the cover of Forbes magazine. Whether you scrape by on $10,000 a year or pull in $10 million a month, the laws of financial gravity remain perfectly, terrifyingly constant. If the money flowing out of your hands moves faster than the money flowing in, your entire existence becomes a lethal game of Jenga. You pull the wrong block, and the towering monument to your own vanity comes crashing down into the dust. We live in an era suffocated by a toxic sludge known as flex culture, an industry built entirely on smoke, mirrors, and leased Lamborghinis. It is an industry terrified of the truth because the truth exposes the sheer, unadulterated delusion of making staggering fortunes and still ending up gasping for air under a mountain of debt. Look at the tragic, almost incomprehensible reality of legendary Hollywood icon Mickey Rourke. Here is a man who was once the undisputed epitome of cinematic cool, a titan pulling down millions of dollars per picture. Yet, in his twilight years, the grand finale of his financial journey was a GoFundMe page. Let that sheer absurdity marinate in your mind for a moment. A man who had the world at his fingertips was reduced to crowdsourcing $59,000 just to avoid eviction. We are witnessing working-class citizens, exhausted nurses, teachers, and construction workers grinding out 40-hour weeks, battling vicious inflation, and clipping grocery coupons, being asked to digitally pass the hat to fund the survival of a man who squandered a fortune. I remember reading a comment from one of you that perfectly captured this grotesque irony, stating that a person making $45,000 a year, driving a decade-old Honda, actually possesses a higher net worth than a guy who starred in a massive Marvel blockbuster. That is the brutal, inescapable reality. If you have absolutely zero debt and just a crisp $10 bill in your pocket, you are mathematically wealthier than a Hollywood legend who is drowning $59,000 in the red. These celebrities confuse their peak earning years with a permanent reality, constructing monstrous lifestyles with overheads so massive that the very second the spotlight fades, they experience a fatal liquidity blood clot. They refuse to downsize their pride, choosing instead to beg the working class for survival rather than admit their era of flying private is dead and gone. But this catastrophic refusal to accept reality does not just happen overnight. It is carefully cultivated by a culture that equates visibility with validity. We are force-fed this delusion from the moment we open our phones, bombarded by an endless stream of curated perfection that preys on our deepest insecurities. The flex is no longer just a display of success. It has mutated into a psychological armor worn by people who are absolutely terrified of being perceived as average. I have sat across the table from individuals wearing watches that cost more than a suburban home, only to see the hollow exhaustion in their eyes when the cameras stop rolling. They are trapped in a vicious, self-imposed prison of escalating expectations, where last year's luxury vacation is this year's baseline, and the dopamine hit of buying a new supercar fades before the engine even cools down. Social media has weaponized our natural human desire for status, transforming it into a relentless digital gladiator arena where the only way to win is to spend yourself into oblivion. People are gutting their own futures, trading decades of financial peace for a fleeting 7 seconds of attention from strangers they will never meet and who do not care about them. The tragedy is not just the lost money, it is the staggering loss of identity. When your entire self-worth is tethered to the logos on your chest and the hood ornament on your driveway, you become completely hollow. You are no longer a human being navigating the complexities of life. You are a walking billboard, desperately seeking validation from an audience that is eagerly waiting for you to stumble. It is a profound, aching loneliness masked by a veneer of synthetic glamour. A tragedy unfolding in real time as these individuals slowly bleed out financially just to keep up a facade that was entirely fabricated to begin with. That desperate need for external validation inevitably triggers a quiet, internal financial hemorrhage that most do not even notice until the repo man comes knocking. The public looks at a $20 million movie contract and assumes the actor is set for generations, completely oblivious to the parasitic ecosystem that immediately attaches itself to new wealth. By the time the government takes its brutal 50% cut, and the agent, the manager, the publicist, and the lawyer take their mandatory percentages, that staggering fortune has already been violently halved. But the real devastation begins with the lifestyle creep, a silent killer that sneaks in through the back door while the ego is busy popping champagne. When you buy that sprawling $10 million compound in the Hollywood Hills, you are not just buying wood and concrete, you are signing a blood pact with perpetual overhead. You are suddenly bleeding hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in property taxes, landscaping, security teams, and specialized insurance, a relentless monthly burn rate that does not pause just because your latest movie flopped. I have seen the panic set in firsthand when the realization hits that they have built a machine they can no longer afford to fuel. They start employing an entourage of yes-men, childhood friends, and distant relatives, essentially putting a small village on their personal payroll just to maintain the illusion of being a king. It is a terrifying fragility. They are operating massive corporate-level expenses without corporate-level revenue stability, relying entirely on the fragile hope that the next big paycheck will arrive before the credit lines snap. It is not a lack of income that destroys these titans. It is an arrogant, lethal misunderstanding of cash flow. They treat liquid capital like an infinite resource, blissfully ignoring the ticking time bomb of compound interest and recurring expenses until the day they wake up, completely suffocated by the very lifestyle they built to impress the world. When the money finally stops flowing and the facade inevitably shatters, they turn for salvation to a public that has fundamentally run out of patience. There was a time when society looked at fallen stars with a sense of melancholic pity, but the economic realities of the modern world have completely eradicated that empathy. We are living through an era of aggressive financial friction, where the average family is agonizing over the rising cost of eggs, milk, and basic utilities, watching their purchasing power evaporate before their eyes. When a former superstar, someone who blew through more capital in a single weekend in Vegas than a school teacher will earn in a decade, has the sheer audacity to launch a crowdfunding campaign for their personal survival, it is seen as a grotesque insult. The working class is no longer starstruck. They are furious. I read the comments on these fundraising pages, and the sentiment is a chilling, unified roar of absolute disgust. People are exhausted by the expectation that they should subsidize the reckless extravagance of the elite. The flex culture that these celebrities helped build is the exact same mechanism that has destroyed any goodwill the public might have held for them. You cannot spend 10 years shoving your private jets, diamond chains, and exclusive luxury vacations down the throats of struggling workers and then expect those same workers to catch you when you fall out of the sky. The societal contract has been broken. The public is waking up to the realization that they owe nothing to those who hoarded wealth only to incinerate it on the altar of their own vanity. It is a brutal, unforgiving reckoning, a cultural shift where the masses are finally refusing to be the financial safety net for the phenomenally irresponsible. The only genuine escape from this humiliating circus of performative riches is to radically step out of the spotlight and embrace the profound, unshakable power of stealth wealth. Real, generational financial security is not loud. It does not demand attention, and it certainly does not require a blue check mark to validate its existence. It whispers. The wealthiest, most content individuals I have ever crossed paths with are the ones you would never look at twice in a grocery store. They drive unassuming vehicles, wear unbranded clothing, and sleep soundly at night knowing that if the entire global economy were to temporarily freeze, they would not miss a single beat. They have conquered their egos, realizing that the ultimate flex is not showing people how much money you have, but rather possessing the absolute freedom to do whatever you want with your time. When you strip away the desperate need to impress your neighbors, you unlock a level of peace that no exotic car or sprawling mansion could ever provide. You start buying assets that quietly pay you while you sleep, instead of liabilities that loudly drain your accounts while you are awake. True wealth is the luxury of privacy, the deep, internal satisfaction of knowing your family is permanently insulated from the chaos of the world. It is about building an impenetrable fortress of security that does not require the applause of strangers to keep the walls standing. Let the hollow idols of flex culture crash and burn in their desperate pursuit of relevance, begging for scraps on the internet when the lights finally go down. If you want to survive the financial slaughterhouse of the modern era, you must kill your ego, fiercely protect your capital, and understand that the most beautiful thing money can ever buy is simply the freedom to disappear. The modern obsession with performative wealth has engineered a devastating psychological and financial trap, reducing individuals to hollow billboards desperate for external validation. Driven by social media and the illusion of infinite resources, people willingly trade decades of financial peace for fleeting moments of attention, only to fall victim to the silent, parasitic drain of lifestyle creep. They build towering infrastructures of recurring expenses, mansions, entourages, and luxury vehicles, without the corporate-level revenue stability required to sustain them. Once the money inevitably evaporates, they are met not with sympathy, but with justified public disdain from a working class struggling with real economic friction. The masses are entirely exhausted by the expectation to subsidize the reckless extravagance of an elite class that spent years shoving unattainable luxury in their faces. Ultimately, the true tragedy of flex culture is the complete loss of both personal identity and financial freedom. The only genuine antidote to this exhausting, humiliating cycle is the quiet, unshakable power of stealth wealth. True financial liberation requires killing the ego and prioritizing long-term security over short-term applause. Real wealth does not scream for attention. It whispers in the form of unassuming lifestyles, cash-flowing assets, and the ultimate luxury of privacy. By detaching self-worth from material displays, individuals can build an impenetrable financial fortress. The greatest flex in the modern world is not proving to strangers that you have money, but possessing the absolute freedom to control your time and insulate your family from the chaos of the world. True wealth is not measured by what you can show the world, but by the freedom and peace of mind you possess when no one is looking. Chasing external validation by purchasing depreciating liabilities to impress strangers is a guaranteed path to psychological emptiness and financial ruin. Money's highest purpose is not to buy status, but to buy back your time. Immediately opt out of the digital comparison game. Conduct a ruthless audit of your current expenses and eliminate the lifestyle creep that exists solely for social appearances. Shift your focus from acquiring loud liabilities, designer brands, luxury cars, to accumulating quiet assets, index funds, real estate, investments that pay you while you sleep. Embrace stealth wealth by intentionally living below your means, valuing your privacy, and finding self-worth in your character and financial security rather than the logos you wear. If you had to choose today, would you rather live a flashy lifestyle where everyone thinks you are rich, or live completely under the radar with absolute financial freedom? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below so we can all discuss and learn from each other's perspectives. If you found this video valuable, please subscribe to the channel. Your support gives us the motivation to keep creating more great content for you.